Hi guys, I thought it would be a good time to do a winter interest video and show you what's still beautiful around the yard even though a lot of the plants and flowers aren't around. I wanted to show you a little bit of the ornamentation and accents I have that we enjoy year-round. Let me zoom in here on our bird feeder. This is something, it's very hard to see here. This is something we enjoy year-round. I keep it full year-round, but it's especially important to have a bird feeder in the winter when there's less for the birds to eat. So I've been watching lots of things all morning, and now of course that I'm out here talking and turning on the camera, nobody's coming around. Oh, there's one. It looks like, there we go, a beautiful red cardinal. And they're so pretty in the winter time. They're a nice pop of color. But we have lots of cardinals around. And they actually like this tree, which has now lost its leaves. This is the tree that I was showing a couple weeks ago that was bright red, the burning bush that I was talking about. It has now lost its leaves, but it's such a pretty structure that when it gets a little snow on it, it's really gorgeous as well. So the bird feeder is one of the things that we enjoy all throughout the winter, and the birds love it. Another thing that we have are wind sculptures, and I have a couple of these around the garden, and it's just a nice piece of, it's just a nice accent to have to enjoy year-round. Another thing to consider is not taking away some of your perennial foliage, because it can look quite interesting in the winter just as a textural accent. So, you know, we always rush around and try to take down things, but sometimes it's attractive looking. It adds a little bit of interest when you're looking at the landscape as a whole. If this weren't here, this would otherwise be a very barren hill because most of the other things are just flowers. So this adds a little impact here. Another thing I have around the garden is some copper pans that I have hung up just as a little decoration. And these are just sweet little accents. This one happens to be a heart, and I have a star somewhere else. But you can get these at the thrift shop for about $1, and it just adds a little bit of charm. Isn't that pretty? Here's my triangle garden, and I have a sundial here which provides year-round interest. It's just a beautiful piece that my friend Roland and Lori put together. Mostly Roland built it, and it's just so pretty year-round. Things like that, or a bird bath, add so much interest and structure in a garden. And all of those tall plants around it are Brussels sprouts, all covered by snow. So I'm still hanging on to them. They've been in since the spring, and I'm still waiting for Brussels sprouts. We'll see what happens. But in the meantime, there they are, filling out that space. And over here in the back, here's another thing that I'm talking about. This is a hydrangea, and I did not cut the blooms off. You have to be kind of careful about pruning hydrangeas too, because some of them bloom on old wood. But look at how nice that looks with a little bit of snow on it. It's kind of like sticks with pom-poms on them, and I don't know, it just adds something to your garden. Even when it's not snowing, it just adds a little bit of structure, even though it's a deciduous plant. This is something I need more of in my garden. It's a little evergreen, and this is an arborvitae, and it just looks so festive, covered with snow. I plan to add lots more small evergreens, and that's a really economical way to do it. Plant them small and let them grow up in place. And then, of course, the best thing to do is make sure you know the mature size and you plant it in the right place so that it doesn't outgrow its spot. But isn't that pretty? A little arborvitae with snow. And then I have a few evergreens along here. I think these were junipers. And they don't look like much in the snow, but on non-snowy days, it's a touch of green. So definitely have evergreens in your garden, and try to tuck them into every bed. That is my ultimate goal. Here's another globe arborvitae, which is adorable. And I'm going to show you close up. I just love the leaf structure on this, and it looks fantastic peeking out of the snow. But isn't that nice? So that's going to be a lot bigger eventually, but isn't that so pretty? I just love the shape of that. It's going to be like a round pom-pom in the landscape. And here's a little area which I just love. Now the thing in the middle that looks like wrought iron is actually a doormat. It's a rubber doormat, and it's just a black color. And I was thinking about painting it a silver or pewter, but I really liked the look of the black. It looked like black wrought iron. So for about, I think that was about $24, it gives me the look of a wrought iron piece. And I framed it by having ornamental grasses, and I left them up for interest. Ornamental grasses, they've turned this beautiful beigey color. Sometimes they're golden colored, but they look so pretty in the winter. They just add a huge impact with their structure in the garden. So for these grasses, I always leave them up. This little corner has another wind sculpture and also a bird bath. You do have to be careful though with bird baths and empty out some of the water so that your concrete bird baths don't crack, or you know, your ceramic ones. You have to be careful of that. But a bird bath and sundials and wind sculptures are all things that add to your garden interest year-round. And I've showed you these before. Here's two little pots with some Alberta spruces, little tiny ones I got on sale from last year after the holidays. But believe it or not, they're already a little bit bigger. They're slow growers, but isn't that cute? They're like little tiny Christmas trees there. But they look great to have around. Putting evergreens in pots is just a nice accent in any garden. And again, it brings back that green that we crave. Even though it's not mason bee season, I still have these up on the fence. I keep them up year-round, and they're just a little charming look there. Let me zoom in for you. So those are basically pollinator houses, and they just look so cute hanging up on the fence. I like to have those, and I like to have bird houses hanging up all around the garden. And I showed you these a couple weeks ago. These are my Japanese holly ferns, and believe it or not, even though it's snowing, they are still green underneath. And I have a little bird bath and a wind spinner. Let me show you those close up. Look at that, how pretty that texture is. I just think that looks so fantastic. So I guess I can count that as an evergreen, at least for now. And then this is another little wind sculpture. And I'm showing you my wind sculptures on a day that has no wind, but you'll have to use your imagination. Here's my little owl pot with heucheras in it, and when it's not snowing, you can see that the heucheras are still leafy and kind of a purpley red, but that's peeking up out of the snow. And then I have my little coffee can owls up here, and they're always fun. They add a little charm to this corner. The other thing that's really nice to add, look at this one. I really love the green eyes on this one. Isn't that fun, guys? That's just my coffee can owl. It was a DIY that I did on my own. I didn't put it on film, but I had a lot of fun doing it myself. Another great thing to have in your garden is seating, and here's a couple of Adirondack chairs in what I'm calling Owl Corner, and they just add a little structure when you have a lot of deciduous plants and they die back. This just adds some height to your landscape and just that needed structure. Here's another bench I built out of cinder blocks and just some 4x4 pieces of lumber. And I have kind of a set of wind chimes back here, the kind that's just gets stuck into the ground. And that's here year round, so it gives a little bit of interest to this corner, even during the winter. And I also have another little sundial that's closer to the ground here. And along here, I liked my other wrought iron, my faux wrought iron treatment that I ordered, this set of 3. And again, I think it was maybe $28 or $29, but I hung this up on the fence and I think it looks like wrought iron accents. And I think they make great accents for a fence. It just adds a lot of nice, interesting texture, and I think it really takes it up a level. And then this is all snow here, but all of this is going to be some Gloriosa daisies. So it'll look fantastic in the summer, but until then, it's adding winter interest. Here's a little globe I made out of metal baskets that I just used some black zip ties, and I put 2 metal baskets together and made a sphere. And I just upended a pot. I just flipped a pot over and set that on top and made it a little piece of statuary. So it was very economical, very easy to make, and I love how it looks with the snow. So I hope you can see that. It's getting a little bit blizzardy out here. Here's a little wrought iron chair that I spray painted yellow, and it's looking all cute here all by itself. And again, I have a copper pan, at least I think it's copper, hanging from the fence, and that's my star. That's the one that's a star, catching the snow there. But it's really easy just to put some interesting, colorful chairs that you've spray painted around the yard and plant around them. And then in the winter time, you have little areas and a little bit of structure. Isn't that one pretty? Again, my friend Lori gave me that. That has a really pretty back on it. I love the way that's done. You can even use something as mundane as a bowling ball, a colorful bowling ball. Just set it on a coffee can that's been kind of dug into the ground a bit, and you'll have a garden sphere. And the last thing I wanted to show you was make sure you have some bird houses, because in the spring the birds are going to enjoy nesting in there. And this particular one had 2 sets of 2 families, 2 bird families are raised in here last spring. It's good to keep it close enough to the house where you can observe it, but not so close that they get a little bit nervous. So I'm very happy that I've left my grasses up. And I just wanted to show you over here, I have another little bird house here, which my sister helped me make. She's very handy. So this also had a couple of families of birds raised in it, and again, I'm trying to make my yard bird friendly with bird baths and bird houses and lots of flowers where they can have seeds during the winter. So guys, thanks for joining me for my winter interest tour of the garden. I got to show you a few little details that I think are interesting even during the winter. And there's my wind spinner finally spinning for you. But thanks for joining me. I'm now properly freezing, and I'm going to go in and have a cup of hot chocolate. Let me know what you have in your gardens that makes it interesting throughout the year. Thanks for watching, guys. Bye.